An important thing to understand about a midlife crisis or a midlife transformation is that it is a crisis of identity. Something that we've been identifying with for a good amount of time, has proven not to be, in fact, the case. In other words, we were going along identified as a certain person, a certain thing, identifying with a certain job, identifying with a certain partner, situation, health, whatever it is. That thing got disturbed, and now we have a crisis of identity. We have something happening that we are not familiar with, and this crisis, this unfamiliarity about who we are in this current climate, in this current situation we find ourselves in, that contains a hidden opportunity for growth and change. So since the earlier part of our life and the decisions we make about what we do for work, what we do for play, who we partner with, who we're friends with, where we live, a lot of that is based on a lack of experience. It only stands to reason that we are not really aware all the time during the early part of our life whether we're making those choices because they're congruent to who we are as individuals. A lot of times the decisions we've made are based on largely other people's opinions, ideas, and influences. And so the crisis of an identity that happens at midlife clears away. There's usually some kind of incident that clears away in many times a kind of a distressful way. It clears away a sense of ourself that we didn't realize was actually in the way of or blocking a more genuine sense of ourselves. And the fact is, we can't know what's blocking us until that thing somehow is taken away. Somehow that thing that we are identifying with currently is removed. So the trick in realizing that we've been given an opportunity at midlife to change something really vital to the next iteration of our life is to not freak out, to not have to replace something with something else, and to observe the space that's left open for us from that other previously identifiable element of our lives having left. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you were a school teacher for work. You taught school kids from maybe when you were 25 till the age of 40, let's say. And then all of a sudden something happens, the school closes down, you move, all of a sudden you're without that identification as a school teacher, and you have to do something else. So there's a big space there in the model of who you've been this whole time. What do you fill that space with? And so that space was filled originally, when you chose that career, by an idea, something attracted you to it. You got the schooling, you went in that direction, you did that job. Now it's no longer there. There's a space where actually something that is more congruous to who you are can emerge from your identity. Without that space being there, and without that incident or something happening to take away that job and therefore the identification, without that space, we will never know what might be better suited for us either to do or to express or to identify with. So this is where you become inwardly agile. And what I mean by that is inner agility is about being able to emotionally recover from a trigger or an event quickly and consciously. So let's say you lost your job as a teacher, let's say. And there's going to be a time when we lose anything that we've identified with for quite a while. There's going to be a time of grieving that loss. And that's an important psychological function. To grieve, to understand what we lost, to spend time missing it, and then at the right time to move on. And so there is obviously a grieving process with this, as is with anything that we lose. It's important to go through that and then move. And so inner agility means I take responsibility to consciously be aware, wow, I lost this job, I lost this identification as a teacher, and I'm feeling it, I'm missing it. That feeling of something missing that was once there and now is not there, that feeling there, that emptiness, contains something. There's a reason that it's not just because we identify with something before, but there is an identifier. There's someone here that actually needs to identify with either what they do or how they express something as a function of who they are. And so this need to identify with something is a healthy thing, but it can't be rushed. This has to be kind of felt into. And so when we lose one identification, instead of clamoring for some other identification to make, it's important to grieve the loss of it and kind of rest in that feeling of uncertainty, that feeling of, whoa, I thought I was that, but now I'm not. I don't know what I am. Part of me is freaking out, but the other part is curious of what's going to happen next. If you can look closely, you'll see, even though part of me is scared and part of me is kind of disorganized as far as who I think I am, there's another part that's kind of excited and interested as to what's going to come next. So the inner agility is to be able to grieve and move quickly as possible to that part where, wow, what's going to happen next? Where can I next express the potential that I have, and how can I identify with that potential? So your genius, the thing you were born to express, the things that you're born to express and how to express them is just like your physical DNA. So your physical DNA expressed you like this, and then afterwards you did what you did with it. In other words, I exercised or not, I ate healthy or not, I changed my look in whatever way or not. Your DNA is there, and then you express it however you express that DNA. Your genius DNA is very similar. You have it when you're born. You are predisposed to express yourself in a certain way and doing certain things. It's not, we're not given that information on a piece of paper. We have to discover it. And once you discover it, this DNA really wants to be expressed and will give us a lot of clues on how to find how to express that thing. One of them is through something like a midlife crisis or a midlife course correction. Something that we identified with before, which is not optimum for us to express our genius, gets replaced or taken away so that we have some space to recognize what I'm actually wanting to express as, what I'm actually wanting to embody. And so your physical DNA is expressed in how you look, and a lot of other things that we've identified as, okay, how I respond to this type of disease, how I respond to light, how I respond to heat, cold. All those physical responses are there. Your genius DNA is activated and expressed by what you do and how you do it. And so this opportunity of something being removed from your life and now having an open space is a field in which to express your genius DNA. So in this newfound space, it's important for you to recognize, do a little scan of what can I do now that I couldn't before, when that other thing was there, when that other identification was there. So we'll take our school teacher analogy. Now I don't have my job as a school teacher. What do I do with that space? What can I do now that I couldn't do before? What does this clearing away of this current expression, what does this afford me now? How can I take advantage of this? And so, one example is, okay, so I'm not at work between, 8 and 4, whatever that is. Or I now am not working with, let's say, 5th graders. So what other part of me may be wanting to, either work with adults or work with animals or work something, anything different? What does this opportunity afford you? That's what you need to start scanning your life for. How can I take this opportunity and see what's the hidden gift waiting for me in it? So if you look into this consciously, you're going to find a handful of things that are available to you now. And it's important to experiment with those things, Pick a few of them, try them out, pick one as a goal, and make a practice around that goal just to see, is this something that supports my genius? Is this something that is creative enough for me to step into as the second part of my identity? And so remember, your genius wants to be expressed. It is something just like your DNA that just shows up. You don't have to try to have the DNA that you have, the physical DNA that you have. Similarly, you don't have to try to have the genius DNA that you have. This genius DNA, remember, comes out in what you do and how you do what you do. And when you're trying to focus on, in this newfound space, the things that are important for you to do, it is important to go with your curiosities. If you don't have a clear path on what my genius calling is, you go with your curiosities, you experiment with them, you check in on how each one of these things feels, and you keep going until you find something that just feels perfect for you. And when you think about doing it, you feel content, you feel fulfilled, and you feel on purpose. And so one last thing, this is not just about putting a positive spin on losing something. It's not about being positive. It's about being realistic. We gain things and we lose things in our life. When we lose things, it's very, very painful, and it's very, very difficult to get past that loss. Don't deny that. That's part of how we exist as humans. But there is a hidden opportunity in every one of these losses, and particularly around the one at midlife. The opportunity is to be able to set yourself up to live a purposeful and meaningful and direct connection with your genius in the second part of your life. If you're interested in learning more about how to find your own genius qualities and how to live a purposeful and meaningful life, hit the subscribe button and check out thegeniusway.com for tools, tips, and encouragement.